they are observing everything you do. So you need to ask yourself, if your child does everything you do, are you going to be happy with the person they become? Alright, what is going on YouTube, and welcome back to another Monday Motivation. My name is Bryce Dettorre, and this is a weekly thing that I just started probably about 6 weeks ago. But every Monday I like to dive into a topic geared towards my whole NY80 movement. If you are new to the channel, NY80 stands for Not Your Average Dad. That is right. Again, my name is Bryce Dettorre. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a special education teacher, and I'm a Spartan enthusiast, or someone who just likes to work out. The term that people are using now is like the hybrid athlete. I would fall into that category, I guess you could say. But anyways, on this part of my channel, every Monday I put out a certain topic that basically deals with something that I feel could help you level up in one of the areas that we focus on in my school community, which is faith, finance, fitness, and fatherhood. Today's topic, I'm just going to jump straight into it. It's basically how you are a silent example for your child, and what you do is louder than what you actually speak. So let's jump straight into it. And basically what it comes down to is you guys need to realize that your kids are watching you more than you think. And I've mentioned this on the channel before, different examples where I've seen firsthand that what I do is way more important than actually what I say. I was actually just watching, I went to a training the other day at work, and they were talking about how verbal, nonverbal, and paraverbal are basically three ways of communicating. And verbally, obviously how I'm talking right now, is a form of communication, but I want to say that the actual, what people actually retain, they get 58% of it from your nonverbal communication. So not actually what my words are saying, but for instance how my body language is, or how I'm acting, or it could even be my tone. All of those are way more important than actually what I'm saying, and that's what this video is really going to be about. I don't know about you guys, but you probably have heard before, like for instance, I'm a visual learner, so I do really well when I have something visually in front of me. Humans, especially children, learn a lot just by observing, and a lot of people think like, oh, they observe me working. No, they observe everything you're doing. They observe how you speak to your wife. They observe how you handle stress. They observe how you, if you say please and thank you, which we'll get into in the video. They observe every single thing, your daily routines. If you wake up and you go watch TV, or if you wake up and go straight towards your phone, or if you wake up and you go and eat a terrible breakfast, they are observing everything you do. So you need to ask yourself, if your child does everything you do, are you going to be happy with the person they become? If the answer is no, then I recommend you change. If the answer is yes, then just keep on doing what you're doing. So let's talk about what exactly you would want. What are qualities, and I said this before, the biggest dad hack out there is having a kid, if you care. Because if there's certain qualities that you would like to start implementing for yourself, the easiest way to do it is try and set an example for your child. So like if you have a goal of you want to improve in, whether it's discipline, whether you want to improve on, you know, saying please and thank you, whether you want to improve on your relationship with talking to someone, basically paying attention when they're, you know, speaking, which I talked about on last week's video. If you want to improve on all those qualities, the easiest way is try to set an example for your child. Recent research shows children actually learn language, emotional responses, problem solving, habits, and social behavior by modeling caregivers long before they understand abstract teaching. And what that basically means is I witnessed this firsthand when my daughter started playing dolls. When she started playing dolls or playing with her babies, she would do stuff with the baby. This was before she could even talk. Things that me or Cassie would do with her. So she was literally modeling how to hold a baby, how to hold the bottle, how to talk to the baby, how to put the blanket on the baby, all of these things. She learned that. And I guess it's something as simple as that, but if they're learning that, it's not like it just switches off. It's not like if you're in a bad mood, or if you're yelling at your spouse, or if you're, getting angry at someone, or you're just having a bad habit of eating junk food. It's not like your child just turns that off, all the bad stuff, and only observes the good stuff. That's why I tell people it's like a double-edged sword. Like, it could either be a blessing that your child watches everything you do, depending on what you do, or it could be a curse if they're watching everything you do. Because if you're doing bad stuff or doing qualities that you don't want them to have, they are watching that. And that's where it could be a curse, depending on how you use it. And like I said, it's not just your actions that they're modeling. It's your tone, it's your posture, it's whether you raise your voice when someone asks you a question. If someone gives you feedback, how do you respond? Are you getting very defensive? Are you raising your voice? Are you getting aggressive? Or are you handling it from a mature standpoint of like sitting back, listening, and then asking, basically where that person is coming from? Well, your child is observing that. If someone gives you feedback and you freak out and you start getting super defensive of like, no, I don't do that, or you're trying to justify it, or you blame someone else, your child is now learning that when someone gives them feedback, they're either going to deflect it, they're going to blame someone else, or they're going to get super defensive as if they are not in the wrong. I don't think you want a child like that. Another thing that I was reading that was very interesting is it says scientists studying parent-child interaction found that parental responsiveness, meaning being emotionally present, attentive, and not just physically but mentally, significantly improves learning, attention span, and healthy development for toddlers at young children. So again, that goes back to my video that I spoke about last week, is when someone is speaking to you, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, when someone is speaking to you, you are actually listening to them. You are very attentive. You are being able to basically repeat what they said or ask for clarification. It's not like you're just sitting there nodding your head like, You're actually in tune to what they are saying. I was even actually reading that where a lot of behavior issues stem from is when a parent is preaching one thing, like for instance, you got to say please, you got to say thank you, don't talk bad about people behind their back, you need to be a lifelong learner, so you need to listen to what people say to you. And then if the parent is saying all those things, yet their behavior is the opposite, that adds confusion to a child, and therefore it leads to behavior issues. So again, that comes back to basically integrity, is if you, are your actions lining up with actually what you're preaching to your child? And that is something that, again, is very difficult from a parent standpoint, is because you basically have to be on your A game all the time. You have to be aware of how you're, like I said, speaking to your spouse, how you are acting, how are you dealing with financial hardship, how are you dealing with your, whether you want your child to improve in certain areas, how do you want them to deal with like finances? Do you want them to be someone that's always talking about money is scarce, we don't have any money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are this? Like, if you start basically saying all those things around your child's going to believe those things, and then they're going to be afraid of money, and they're going to think money is bad, they're going to think rich people are bad. Like, I see it all the time with my students. Students will say certain things, and it's like, now why do you believe that, or why do you think that? And it's because they learned that from seeing their parents do it. You see grown people do it. When grown people act a certain way, grown adults act a certain way, they have learned that based on how their parents raised them and the actions that they saw their parents do throughout their entire life. So what does the silent example actually look like in real life? Well, for instance, how do you handle a tough situation? Like, for instance, if someone cuts you off in traffic, how do you handle it? Do you give them the bird? Do you cuss at them? Or do you just say, oh, they were probably in a hurry? And again, I am not saying this from a standpoint of like I am perfect. I am not saying it from a standpoint as if I'm being judgmental. Again, this channel is all about leveling out, about being aware of ways you can improve and striving to it. Do I hit it every single time? Absolutely not. But if I'm aware of it and I'm trying to do it, so like I set an example for my daughter, chances are it will increase my chances of actually doing it. How do you handle stress when, for instance, you might get hit with a random bill or some, like when you're an adult, life just happens, like if you accidentally leave the hose on and now you get your water bill and it's like super, $100 or $200 more than what it was, and you freak out. That's a situation that your child is seeing. So how do you handle tough situations? And for instance, my daughter just cut her finger earlier. I was trying to basically tell her, focus on your breathing and calm down. I got to do that same thing. I got to lead by example. If I get hurt or if I get injured or if I'm stressed out about something financially, she's going to watch how I handle it. One of the big things I really focus on is respect and manners. I remember when I was growing up, there was this thing called the Citizenship Award, where that was something that I always got. Like, that was something like I strived for because it was pretty easy. It was basically, hey, just don't be an idiot and be a decent human being, and you can get this little certificate that I always, I wasn't the smartest kid, but I was always excited that I would be able to get that. I don't even think schools do that anymore. I was literally just teaching my daughter that in her homeschool that yesterday is we were doing social studies, and it was basically about how to be a good citizen, how, certain rules and all that stuff. Respect was one of them. Manners were one of them. So I try every single day, whether we're out in public or whether I'm dealing with the person at the register and how I interact with them. If you walk into a store and someone says, hey, welcome to whatever we are, do I say, oh, good morning? Do I say good afternoon? Do I ask how you're doing? Do I respond to them courteous? Like, that is something that, again, my daughter is gonna, basically start modeling, is that when a stranger says hi, does my dad actually respond, or does he just keep pushing? If someone does something for my dad, does he say thank you? Does he say please when he needs help? Does he offer to hold the door open for him? These are all certain things that it's like they're silent, but you're modeling them. And you're making your child a better person at the end of the day. Another big one is, do you keep your promises? Like, that is something that I'm really focusing on right now and working on, because I feel like I used to be really good at it. I used to be like, when I said I was going to do something, I just went all in. And I feel like that's where I'm lacking right now. So I'm really trying to be a person of keep my promises. And a promise could be something as small, it's pretty hard, but small, as I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning. Do you keep your promise? Like, I was literally reading or watching something the other day that they were saying that fit people are promise keepers. And I didn't really get it at first, but then the guy, basically explained it, and it's true. If you want to be fit, it's not something that you just do once and you're done. Like, you have to, if you make a promise, I'm going to wake up at a certain time, I'm going to work out at a certain time, I'm going to do cardio at a certain time, I'm going to get a certain steps at a time, I'm going to drink water, a certain amount of water a day, and I'm going to eat a certain way to help me lose weight, certain foods I'm going to stay away from. These are all promises that you have to keep for a very long time. If you're younger, you might not have to keep them that long. If you're my age or even older, you have to keep those promises for even longer before you start seeing results. And that, again, right now I'm sitting at 222, which I consider that pretty fluffy. I think I'm at 16% body fat. I'm not happy with where I want, but it's because I have not been keeping my promises. So I have to get back to that, and again, that's going to be something that my daughter is modeling. My daughter is seeing every single day. And I want her to be someone that keeps her promises, not just when it's convenient. I want her to keep them no matter what. Like, her word is her bond. Another one that I touched on last week is your presence when your phone is away. Like, that is something that, again, I'm not saying I'm struggling at certain points and certain times. I'm trying to be very present and show my daughter that my phone goes away, the internet goes away, social media goes away, because that is not important. What is important is right in front of me. I'm trying to model that don't be distracted, but be present. That is something that, again, it's a silent thing that you're modeling. I hate to break it to you, but everything you do, your kids are watching. And again, these aren't like flashy things or super, stuff that you've never heard of. Chances are you have heard of them before, but I don't know if you realize how much impact it has on your kids. And something you got to think about, and again, I don't know if I think about it just because I'm a teacher and I see it every single day, but like, how you raise your kids eventually are going to go out into the world, and they're going to be the ones at the supermarket. They're going to be the nurses. They're going to be the doctors. They're going to be the teachers. So are you happy with how you are raising your child? Like, would you want your child to be your doctor or your teacher or whoever it is? Like, that's what you really kind of have to see this thing as. You need to realize that what they see becomes what they believe, which I've talked about before, and that becomes their belief system, and their belief system really determines what their life ends up being. And then at the end, what they see becomes their standard. So if you raise them in a home where values are preached but they're not lived, you're going to raise a confused child, and a confused child leads to behavior issues later on down the road. If you live with the standard first, then teach it, you build men and women of integrity. The crazy thing is, you don't get to outsource parenting to sermons, lessons, or schools. Your role as a father, as a husband, and as a leader is to show them how to live. So here's my challenge. Every video I always have a challenge. Here's my challenge for this week. I want you to live louder than you speak. Pay attention to your tone, how you speak to your how you speak to your child, how you speak to your spouse, how you speak to the person that cuts you off, the person at the store. Pay attention to your tone. Watch your posture. Handle stress in a calm, controlled manner, and then be present from the second you walk in that door afterward. Let your silence be meaningful. Let your actions speak louder than any speech you could have ever wrote. And then just sit back and watch how your kids change. And not because you told them to change, but because they saw how to act, how to behave, and how to be a good citizen from you. So if this message hits home to you, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, because every Monday I'm dropping a new video like this. And then comment below what silent example you're going to do for your family this week. And you guys already know the motto: stay happy, stay healthy, and above all, don't be average. I'll see you next Monday.